Men often suffer not because women deceive them, but because they deceive themselves about what women truly desire. Today, we strip away illusion and reveal the brutal truth women will never admit about men. This is not for the weak, nor for the romantic. This is for the man who seeks to understand power. Even in love, men have long misunderstood the nature of desire. They believe that to win a woman's heart, one must be endlessly kind, perpetually soft, and ever accommodating. But this, my dear listener, is the first illusion that weakens the modern man. For beneath every tender smile, beneath every gentle laugh, there is a silent, ancient instinct, the pull towards strength. Women are not drawn to men because they are gentle. They are drawn because the man's strength gives that gentleness meaning. A woman admires kindness only when it comes from power, never from submission. She will adore the man who chooses to be kind, not the one who cannot be otherwise. A man who fears conflict, who bends his will to please, who trades his authority for affection. Such a man is not virtuous in her eyes, he is merely convenient. His gentleness does not inspire trust, it signals weakness. And weakness, no matter how noble its disguise, cannot command desire. Men forget that love is not born in comfort, but in admiration. A woman's soul does not stir for the man who worships her, but for the one who stands unmoved by her power. She respects the man who walks through her emotions without losing direction. Gentleness without backbone makes a man forgettable. Strength wrapped in calmness makes him unforgettable. Imagine a lion that purrs to be loved. It ceases to be feared, and once it ceases to be feared, it ceases to be respected. The same is true in the theater of attraction. When a man gives up his authority to win affection, he becomes invisible to the woman's deeper instincts. For desire is not born in safety, it is born in the thrill of meeting power that refuses to yield. In every age, from palaces to marketplaces, women have followed the man who stands firm in his nature. They may protest his confidence, they may call him arrogant or cold, yet their hearts betray them. For beneath the surface, they crave the presence of a man who does not collapse under pressure, a man whose silence carries weight, a man whose decisions do not tremble under the threat of disapproval. Gentleness without strength is like a river without banks. It flows endlessly but leads nowhere. The wise man knows that control, not submission, defines virtue. The power of a man does not lie in how much love he can give, but in how much chaos he can endure without losing composure. The woman does not fall for his generosity, she falls for his mastery of himself. A man must understand that women do not fall in love with his comfort, they fall in love with his command. She is drawn to the man who makes decisions with clarity, who moves through the world as though destiny obeys him. Even when he fails, his failure bears the dignity of leadership. Even in silence, his presence fills the room. For this is what women seek, not the softness of words, but the solidity of will. Every glance, every question, every argument, all are subtle tests. She does not ask, "Do you love me?" She asks, "Can you lead me?" When she doubts you, it is not to destroy you, it is to see if your conviction can survive her doubt. If you lose yourself in the attempt to please her, she loses faith in your strength. If you remain grounded, unshaken, she feels safe. Not because you are gentle, but because you are powerful enough to remain calm in her storm. Gentleness becomes noble only when it comes after dominance. The same hand that can hold her softly must first be capable of holding its own ground. The same voice that comforts her must first be a voice she respects. A woman cannot be moved by a man who follows her emotions. She is moved by the one who commands his own. You see, the brutal truth is that women are not seeking perfection. They are seeking presence. They do not want a man who hides his fire to make them comfortable. They want a man whose fire burns with purpose, a man whose energy fills the space without asking for permission, a man whose very existence reminds her that she stands beside strength, not beneath it. The world will tell you to be soft, to be endlessly available, to offer yourself completely. But in doing so, you erase the very essence that creates attraction. A woman does not long for a mirror that reflects her emotions. She longs for a mountain that withstands them. She does not want a man who agrees with every word she speaks. She wants a man whose silence challenges her to think deeper. The paradox of love is this: the more a man tries to be loved, the less he is admired. The more he stands firm in his truth, the more she feels drawn to him. Strength, my friend, is not shouting or dominance. True strength is quiet control, the calm assertion of a man who does not need approval to feel whole. It is the power to be gentle because you can be firm, to be kind because you can be fierce. It is balance, not submission, that creates desire. Every woman wants to feel safe, but safety is not found in a man who hides behind kindness. It is found in the one who commands respect even in silence. And so, the truth remains. Women are not drawn to gentleness alone. They are drawn to strength that allows gentleness to exist without losing its edge. There is a grave misunderstanding among men, a poison that has seeped into the modern heart. They believe that love alone can sustain attraction, that endless affection will buy loyalty, that validation is the currency of devotion. But the truth, my dear listener, is far more brutal. A woman's desire does not grow from pity or comfort. It grows from respect. She does not fall for the man who worships her, but for the man who stands before her as an equal force. A man whose spirit she cannot easily conquer. Respect is the foundation upon which desire is built. When a woman respects a man, she looks at him not as a possession, but as a presence. Something unshakable, something rare. The tragedy of many men is that they try to be desired before they are respected. They seek affection before establishing worth. They confuse availability with value, and when they give too much too soon, their mystery dies, their energy fades, and the very woman they hope to impress begins to look elsewhere. Not because she stopped caring, but because her respect quietly disappeared. A woman does not crave a man who follows her shadow. She craves the one who casts his own. When she feels the weight of his integrity, when she senses that his approval cannot be bought, her admiration begins to grow. For she knows that she stands before a man who lives by principle, not persuasion. This, to the Machiavellian mind, is the essence of command. Authority is not granted by affection, it is earned through presence. Respect commands desire because it creates contrast. In a world of men eager to please, the one who maintains his boundaries becomes a mystery. He does not rush to prove his worth. He embodies it. He does not explain his actions. He lets results speak. The more she senses his self-control, the deeper her curiosity grows. She wonders what lies beneath his calm, what kind of strength holds such composure. It is not arrogance that draws her. It is the quiet certainty of a man who needs nothing from her yet values everything about her. When a man respects himself, he creates an invisible gravity around him. People listen when he speaks, not because he demands attention, but because his words carry weight. A woman, too, feels this pull. Her instincts recognize that she cannot manipulate such a man with emotion, that his approval must be earned. And in that struggle, attraction ignites. For desire thrives in challenge, not convenience. The man who is too available, too eager to please, becomes predictable. He offers everything before she even asks. His attention loses value because it costs him nothing to give. Respect cannot exist without restraint. If every man gives freely, only the one who holds back remains valuable. It is not cruelty, it is discipline. A man who withholds his time, his attention, his energy, not out of malice, but out of self-respect, reminds the woman that he is not a boy chasing affection, but a ruler of his own domain. The modern man fears distance. He believes closeness guarantees love. Yet the truth is, distance creates respect, and respect fuels attraction. When a woman sees that a man can walk away, that he does not beg for her presence, she recognizes power. It is not that she desires rejection. She desires significance. She wants to know that if he chooses her, it is not out of loneliness, but from strength. And that is why a man who can stand alone commands the deepest form of admiration. There is no admiration without boundaries. Every time a man says no, every time he stands firm in his values, every time he walks away from what insults his dignity, he teaches the world, and the woman beside him, that his respect cannot be cheaply bought. A man who respects himself becomes the mirror through which others measure their own worth. And the woman who encounters such a man feels compelled to rise, to meet him at his level. That rise is not love at first, it is respect. But from respect, love blooms. Deeper, rarer, more enduring than desire alone. Men must understand that women fall in love not with their emotions, but with their energy. A woman can sense when a man's mind governs his heart, when his purpose leads his passion. She trusts that kind of man because his emotions serve him, not enslave him. She feels safe in his presence because he does not lose himself in hers. Respect, then, is the language of strength that love understands only later. Respect is also the foundation of polarity. It defines the dance between the masculine and the feminine. The woman who feels respect for her man does not compete with him. She surrenders to the current he creates. Not because she is weak, but because she recognizes leadership. Leadership not of domination, but of direction. The man who commands respect does not raise his voice. His silence alone draws obedience. His calmness disarms. His focus inspires. His vision creates gravity. But here lies the painful truth. Most men abandon their crown to be loved. They trade their standards for approval. They fear losing affection more than losing self-respect. And so they become beggars for attention, believing that endless giving will secure devotion. Yet devotion cannot exist without admiration, and admiration cannot exist without respect. The man who gives everything gains nothing, because what is freely given is rarely valued. Respect, my listener, is not taken, it is projected. It radiates from posture, tone, purpose, and control. It is seen in how a man speaks of himself, how he treats his time, how he reacts under pressure. The woman observes these details, silently and constantly. Her respect grows when she sees he is unshaken by her moods, unmoved by flattery, and unbent by fear. She realizes he cannot be led by emotion. He leads through reason, and that realization transforms her interest into desire, her desire into admiration, and her admiration into loyalty. There exists a subtle war between man and woman, not one fought with swords or armies, but with emotion and instinct. Most men, unaware of this silent battle, crumble under the weight of it. They call it drama, manipulation, or confusion, yet the wise know better. What they call chaos is merely testing, a woman's natural strategy to uncover the truth of a man's character. For no woman truly desires to destroy the man she tests. She desires to discover what lies beneath his calm. Every word she speaks, every silence she holds, every storm she brews. It is not always meant to wound. It is meant to reveal. She seeks to know if the man standing before her is stable or fragile, if his strength is genuine or a performance. For she understands that life will test her as well, and she cannot follow a man who collapses under pressure. Thus her emotions become her instrument, not of cruelty, but of revelation. A man who understands this truth no longer takes her storms personally. He sees beyond the surface. He knows that behind every emotional outburst, behind every challenge or doubt, lies a deeper question: can I trust you to remain who you are when everything shifts? The modern man, blinded by insecurity, fails this test the moment he reacts. He argues, defends, explains, all to prove that he is right, not realizing that every word he speaks is proof of weakness. A true leader does not justify, he demonstrates. The Machiavellian mind sees these tests as the arena of emotional politics. A woman's test is her strategy, not to dominate but to evaluate. She does not trust words because words can lie, but strength cannot. Confidence cannot. Emotional control cannot. When a man remains unshaken in the face of her storms, he shows her something far rarer than affection. He shows mastery. He proves that he can handle her emotions without becoming a prisoner of his own. Consider this: when a ruler is tested by rebellion, he does not beg his people to believe in him. He governs with calm certainty, restoring order through presence, not panic. The same law applies to a man in the kingdom of love. When a woman challenges him, she does not seek surrender. She seeks assurance. She wants to feel that no matter what she throws at him, his foundation will not crack. The man who collapses under pressure reveals instability. The man who remains steady earns respect deeper than desire. This is why arguments between men and women are rarely about the surface topic. They are about leadership. A woman's heart tests to see if the man can lead through emotion, or if he will drown in it. When she accuses him, it is not always because she believes he is wrong, but because she wants to know if he believes he is right. Her respect is not born from agreement, it is born from confidence. The weak man mistakes this process for hostility. He grows bitter, angry, defensive. He asks, why can't she just trust me? But trust is not given, it is earned through endurance. The man who endures her storms without losing direction becomes the anchor she unconsciously searches for. When she pushes him and he stands firm, her instincts whisper, here is a man I cannot break. And that whisper turns to desire. Women by nature are creatures of emotion. Their power is fluid, unpredictable, beautifully dangerous. To lead such energy, a man must be grounded. He cannot fight emotion with emotion. He must govern it as a ruler governs his court. With patience, with discernment, with composure. A man who raises his voice to prove his strength has already lost it. A man who grows silent, who measures his words, who observes before acting. He commands the moment. In that stillness, she sees what most men cannot show: restraint. You see, these tests are not games. They are instinctive rituals of nature. A woman must feel that her partner can handle her fullest expression. Her fear, her doubt, her passion, her chaos. If he cannot, she will never feel safe. Her tests are not rejections of love. They are demands for leadership. The man who understands this no longer fears the test. He welcomes it as proof of his worth. Each trial is a chance to demonstrate power through control, calm through conflict, grace through fire. When she challenges your decision, she is not only testing the decision itself, she is testing your conviction. When she withdraws her affection, she is testing your patience. When she provokes jealousy, she is testing your discipline. Every test asks the same question: are you guided by emotion or by principle? The man who reacts with emotion loses his throne. The man who responds with principle rises higher in her esteem. Machiavelli would say that in politics, loyalty is never guaranteed. It must be constantly maintained through strength and consistency. The same truth governs attraction. A woman remains loyal not to the man who makes her feel good, but to the man who makes her feel safe in his stability. His control becomes her comfort. His composure becomes her peace. And though she may never admit it, she tests not because she doubts him, but because she hopes he will not fail her. So understand this. Her tests are not attacks, they are opportunities. Opportunities to prove that your words mean something, that your presence is real, that your character is not shaken by pressure. Most men run from these moments. Few stand still and observe them for what they are. A chance to lead with patience and to rule with dignity. The woman may never say it, but she does not desire a perfect man. She desires a man who remains himself when she becomes unpredictable, a man whose calm commands the storm. In the grand theater of human nature, love is often spoken of as a sacred force, pure and untainted by the politics of power. Yet anyone who has lived long enough, who has felt both the sweetness of affection and the sting of betrayal, knows this to be false. Love, like politics, is a game of influence, a subtle war between two souls seeking control over emotion, attention, and devotion. Men enter this war blindly, armed with romance and hope, while women enter with instinct and strategy. And thus, the balance is never equal. A man may believe he loves freely, that his heart is pure and his intentions noble, but Machiavelli would remind him, every human bond is a negotiation, every act of love has within it the seeds of power. When a woman loves, she admires. When she admires, she submits emotionally. And when that submission fades, so does the bond. Therefore, the wise man does not aim to be loved first. He aims to be respected, for respect is the currency that sustains love when passion dies. In matters of the heart, power does not always look like dominance. It is not in shouting, not in control, not in possession. True power is influence. The ability to guide emotions without force, to hold attention without demanding it, to inspire loyalty without chasing it. The man who understands this walks through love as a ruler walks through his court, aware that affection is fleeting, but respect is eternal. Every relationship carries an invisible structure, a hierarchy that neither will admit but both will feel. One leads emotionally, the other follows. When a man loses leadership, he loses attraction. When he allows emotion to dictate his actions, he surrenders his throne. For love, like any form of governance, requires composure. A ruler cannot panic when his people rebel, and a man cannot collapse when his woman tests him. The moment he does, she feels the weight of his weakness, and her desire begins to fade. The irony of love is that it punishes the desperate. The more a man chases affection, the further it runs. The more he seeks validation, the less he receives. For desire obeys the same law as power. It flows toward the one who needs it least. This is why indifference often provokes more passion than pleading ever could. The man who can walk away, who can control his emotions even when his heart burns, becomes the man she cannot easily forget. The politics of love is not about deceit, but about awareness. A man must know that emotion, like loyalty, must be managed carefully. To reveal everything too soon is to surrender leverage. To lose composure is to lose influence. To show restraint, however, is to remind the other that your affection is a privilege, not a guarantee. The wise lover gives just enough to maintain warmth, but never enough to lose mystery. For once mystery dies, so does intrigue. Women by instinct are masters of this game. They understand the art of distance, the silent withdrawal that makes a man chase. They know the power of silence, the strength of a single withheld glance. They do not beg for love, they create scarcity, and in scarcity value grows. The tragedy of modern men is that they have forgotten this truth. They give without limit, reveal without caution, and expect loyalty from abundance. But abundance breeds complacency. Power, whether in kingdoms or hearts, must be preserved by scarcity and intention. A man who loves with strategy does not become cold, he becomes aware. He understands that affection is most powerful when balanced with discipline. He allows emotion, but never lets it command him. He listens, but he decides. He gives, but only when it aligns with his principle. To Machiavelli, this is not manipulation. It is governance of the soul. For the one who cannot govern his own emotions cannot hope to inspire loyalty in another's. Love, like politics, thrives on balance. Too much distance creates rebellion. Too much closeness creates boredom. The art lies in tension, in knowing when to give warmth and when to withhold it. Every word, every touch, every silence is a negotiation of power. A woman may say she wants complete openness, but her instincts crave a man whose thoughts she cannot fully read, whose emotions she cannot fully predict. Mystery is the throne upon which attraction sits, and once that throne collapses, the kingdom falls. The weak man thinks love is about constant reassurance. The strong man knows it is about steady leadership. When emotions rise, he does not drown in them, he becomes the anchor. When she doubts him, he does not argue, he remains unmoved. His steadiness becomes her security. His restraint becomes her admiration. The moment he gives up control of himself, she feels the weight of chaos, and her heart instinctively pulls away. In every relationship, one person's emotional control defines the other's emotional intensity. The one who stays calm rules the rhythm of the bond. This is why Machiavelli would tell men, in love, as in politics, govern with reason, not with feeling. The man who keeps his balance commands the direction of the connection. The man who loses it becomes ruled by the very emotions he tried to possess. Women may never confess that love is political, yet their actions reveal it. Their silence is their tests, their expectations. All are moves in a game older than time. They seek the man who can navigate these emotions with strategy, not the one who drowns in them. To love wisely, then, is to understand that every gesture carries weight, every reaction reveals power, every response shapes the future of the bond. A man's worth in love is not measured by how much he feels, but by how well he governs what he feels, and so, we arrive at the heart of all human desire. Power not in its brutal form, but in its silent mastery. Men seek love as if it were a sanctuary, yet they forget that love, like every kingdom, demands governance. The greatest mistake of the modern man is believing that affection alone sustains attraction. But women, whether they admit it or not, are drawn to the essence of leadership. The steadiness of a man who commands himself before commanding the world. Gentleness without strength inspires pity, not desire. Love without respect fades into convenience. A man who cannot withstand a woman's test is unfit to lead her heart, and the one who forgets that love is political will always find himself ruled by it. The wise man, however, moves differently. He does not chase affection. He earns loyalty. He does not beg for trust. He inspires it. He does not react. He governs. The brutal truth women will never admit is this: they are drawn not to perfection, but to presence. They follow the man who remains unshaken by their storms, who stands firm in silence while others tremble in noise. Such a man becomes not merely loved, but revered. For in his strength, she finds safety. In his composure, she finds peace. And in his mystery, she finds endless desire. In the end, love and power are not enemies. They are reflections of the same truth. To rule others, you must first rule yourself. To be desired, you must first be respected. And to be respected, you must never surrender the throne of your own mind.